Hey, Cardinals fans, welcome back to the Redbird Rundown. I'm Andy, here with Matt, Jonathan, Scott. And guys, listen, if you're enjoying this show, please take a second, share us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Helps us so much. You can find all of our social media and the links in the episode description. You can also subscribe and watch us on YouTube. Today, guys, it is a busy episode. Lots happened. Holy cow. Today's show is going to involve some Donnie movement. It's going to involve some guy who I spent too long pronouncing his last name of Durangelo Sainche. We also have a few other things to talk about in that trade. We have some notes about how you're going to be able to watch the Cardinals this year. There's some news there. And perhaps a little teaser about a new ownership, maybe? Probably not. And then Jonathan has a little segment that we're going to highlight, Black History Month. We're going to go to a Cardinal that Jonathan's going to highlight. So first, gentlemen, let's go into, we are recording this on Saturday morning. So last night was the Winter Olympics kickoff in Milan. Anything that you would like to take note? I would like to take a second and join the band of people who were hating on Mariah Carey's performance. It was strange. And my wife said that it feels like that the Botox, like she couldn't make enough facial expression while singing because of the Botox. Gentlemen, did you guys watch? Did you were you involved in, or how'd you feel about that?
I wasn't involved in
watched.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
Matt, were you
sure.
involved?
Involved,
well, they said,
no.
And that's what I loved. The announcers were like, and there's 80,000 people here tonight participating. And I was like, are they though?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think they are.
Don't think I wouldn't put the gear on and walk around in the Parade of Nations with our country, though. For sure I would.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead, Jonathan.
No, I was going to say that the two things I wish I was, there was one part of it where there were music notes dancing across the stage. I wish I was one of them.
Yes.
Or the people, the ladies who were holding the little like ice blocks with the names of the countries, who looked like they were from like 2080 in the future with like sunglasses that were 3 feet tall. My wife was like, "Is it the same girl running around and doing it every time?" And then I thought that would be hilarious. You get towards the end, she's just drenched in sweat. You know, it was pretty cool though. All in all, I really thought it was a nice opening ceremony. Normally, I'm kind of lost in those things, but. I really followed it, and it was really neat. I liked the suspended rings and all of the shots of Italy. It was really neat.
Indeed. I think it's a bucket list item for me to go to an opening ceremony of an Olympics.
LA
for sure.
2028.
Well, we
And
might have to
then-
make that happen.
Salt Lake City after that. That's the Winter Olympics in 2030.
We have some good opportunities, listeners, if you want to go out there and join me.
All right, I have a hot take about the cold Olympics. I watched a couple of events on there. Could I figure skate? Absolutely not. Can I downhill ski? I'd be dead in 5 seconds. No.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure I could be a curler, though. I really think I've watched
That's my favorite bros.
Yes, they have the little ice squeegee thing. I'm fairly certain that I could curl.
It's like the ice frats. That's really what they are. It's like the northern frat houses, and that's what they do. Right?
Oh, it feels like we slipped into Harry Potter. Like they arrived on their ship and got off and ready to participate in the tournament together.
Now we're up to my speed. Here we go. We can derail this really quick to a Harry Potter episode.
Yeah. Scott, what's going on with you in the Olympics? Are you not an Olympics guy?
I fell asleep.
I thought you might be coming out of the bullpen for Team USA.
Well, there's funny stories besides that. I can get into my Czech and Polish heritage along with my baseball opportunities, but that's opportunity for another day. Like Andy said, we have a lot to talk about. But my wife loves the Olympics. I like checking into the Olympics, mostly hockey. I think that's super fun. I fell asleep before the opening ceremonies yesterday, so I cannot talk about said music notes.
Oh, you missed it, man. They were dancing.
All right. Well, let's talk about some people that might be dancing in the streets, including Scott, with this trade, as it solidifies perhaps the baby birds, the full, perhaps Cardinals' own draftee. What does the minor leagues produced season, right, gentlemen? Like that's what this has opened up. With Brendan Donovan moving from second, opens the door probably for JJ to sit squarely in second base this year. The most exciting thing, and I think it's really funny to talk about with the three guys that I can talk baseball with, and other than you three, is no one attempted to say Durangelo Sainche's name, and they just we just all knew that just the guy that could throw with both arms. Like that, that was just how we were referring to him. So Scott, as the resident highest pitcher amongst the four of us, can you talk just for a moment and take a step back and appreciate the athleticism that is throwing with both arms over 90 miles an hour?
Yeah, I did it with one arm, and that took plenty of time, effort, and energy and surgeries to do. I couldn't imagine doing it with the left arm as well.
Surgeries.
Especially, well, yeah, there's another couple scheduled, but again, you guys are getting into things that are conversations for another day. But it's incredible. You hear him talk about, the Mariners were talking about how he was just going to be strictly a right-handed pitcher, but he would still work in between starts, working lefty. Chaim said they want to get their own take on that first. And I was actually talking to my students about it. They know that, they're baseball fans. They're talking Cardinals with me. And they were like, did you hear that he could pitch back-to-back days, righty and lefty? And I'm like, dude, my body broke throwing one day. I couldn't imagine doing it. I get the arm health part of it, but just like the back and the torque. I mean, you hear about the training both sides of your body. I mean, I guess that keeps it even through a scientific standpoint, but I mean, that's all theoretical. I still couldn't imagine the actual torque and energy it would put on a body to do both arms back-to-back days, especially if he starts one day.
Yeah, and so is there a rule to where you can't like switch hit? You can't switch pitch. You cannot like go up there and be like, yeah, I'm gonna throw right-handed now. Oh, you brought in a lefty. I'm gonna throw left-handed. Sorry.
Not off the top of my head, do I think that is? No.
I think they tried to do something in the minors when he like debuted that they're like, okay, switch pitcher versus switch hitter, and then it was kind of like a debacle. And I don't remember if there was an outcome or anything, but I know switch hitters can switch as many times as they want during an appearance. So I don't know if they put that pitching rule, but with the pitch clock, maybe that would kind of not have that be a concern.
It's just like an ambidextrous glove on him. You think he has one?
I saw it, man. No, I saw it. It's crazy. It's like it's like his hand is like a huge Ninja Turtle hand, It's like just
it's like the Antonio L. Fonseca
really cool.
glove.
What I don't understand
way back.
Yes.
I don't understand. I can look like a normal human being throwing right-handed, as I am right-handed, but if I try to throw something left-handed, I look like a different species. And I just don't understand how, A, you can be fluid throwing with both, and B, be good enough to be, I mean, can't we call this guy a professional pitcher with both hands, even though it looks like the right hand is going to be the path to the majors? It's flabbergasting to me.
Now, I'm going to go on the limb and just say this is what I said to the guys around, is that I feel like this is if Jesus Christ himself was a pitcher, it'd be something like this. Like, no one's like, how is he doing this? And that's just kind of how it feels so like funny. A little bit. Like, obviously, I know he's not, but, like, I don't understand. How is this happening? And this is what Durangelo is doing.
Well, we also got some other people. I was going to say, Andy, I'd love to get into what's Jesus's repertoire.
Yeah.
Because he's throwing, like, a sweeper
resurrection ball that goes into the earth. You
the Palm Sunday ball.
Woo! Okay, we could do that. We could flesh this out.
All right, so we also got a few other players, and that. So again, listener, we traded the only All-Star that the Cardinals had last year to the Mariners. We received Jesus as a pitcher. We received Ty Pete, Colton Ledbetter. We also got 2 competitive balanced round B picks, which is basically their first round, like first day 1 picks. Yes, am I understanding that correctly? And then the Rays received from the Mariners Ben Williamson, where the picks came from the Rays. So, gentlemen, let's just take a second and take a send-off to Donnie. Notes, thoughts as Donnie, as a Cardinal. Scott, let's start with you first.
I've been, since the beginning of the Donnie rumors at the end of last season to the offseason to currently, that any other decade, he is a lifetime Cardinal. He is exactly what the Cardinals needed and would be that guy that you see Albert Pujols, Scott Rowland, Jim Edmonds, and Brendan Donovan, like stuff like that. He would be that ideal lifetime Cardinal that would complete a lineup, which is probably what the Mariners are hoping that he's going to be, is that lineup completion piece rather than that lineup building block that he might have been in St. Louis. Again, nothing against Donovan. I think he was the absolute perfect player for the team. The scrappy, the golden locks flowing through that my wife would just be like, has he ever kept his helmet on? I said, never once. And look at that. I mean, why would you when you have hair like that? It's unfortunate. It's the unfortunate reality. I think trading him now as opposed to waiting until the deadline was the best choice. It means a lot for the roster. It puts a I don't know if it puts more pressure or less pressure on JJ Weatherholt. We can talk about that as we get closer to spring training and stuff. But I think that they did exactly what they unfortunately had to do. And I know had to do is tough. I would put the Arenado deal as the had to do. But at this point, it opened up this point it opened up the opportunities that this team does need at an unfortunate cost of Brendan Donovan.
Yeah, Jonathan, anything that you want to say? Sayonara.
I was just
Donnie?
going to say, yeah, I mean, it sucks to see him go, but I'm so glad that they did it now. The only comparison I can think of is he feels like Matt Carpenter-ish to me. Beloved, he came up through the system, not a superstar like Pujols, but still loved like a Cardinal, like for life. I could have 100% seen Marp making it into the Cardinals Hall of Fame. I could see Donnie. I could have seen him do that. Now, with just a few years in, I don't know if we'll do that, but agree with everything Scott said. Locks flowing. He ran the bases hard. He just played hard. He seemed like a, one of those kind of like just grinder guys. He's always out there. He's always willing to play. I had a moment, my favorite moment with Donnie, and it was during the Rickwood game. Do you guys remember we did that in 2024 against the Giants?
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking before the broadcast like, oh, Donovan would be the first person born in Alabama to ever hit a home run in an MLB game in Alabama. And I'm like, oh, well, is he going to do it? He next at bat, he hits a pitch out of the stadium. Now, I understand it's like a little bit smaller, but I've never seen Donnie hit a ball quite like that. So it felt like he really wanted to torque that out of there. So I appreciated that from him. But I'll never forget that from Donnie, hitting a ball out of Rickwood Stadium. And I guess he's the first, what do you call them, Alabamian to do it.
Alabamite.
Bamite.
All right, Matt, anything that you'd like to add to Donnie leaving?
Yeah, I co-signed everything Jonathan Scott said. I loved him. So they've said that eloquently. So I'm going to highlight this. We have buried the Mosaic era quite a bit on this podcast, and I think with good reason. But this is really a success story of the player development era in the Mosaic era, right? This is like a mid-round draft pick, to all your points, not a high pedigree guy, and he turned himself into an all-star. That maybe I'm being unfair here. That probably has a lot to do with Donovan, but I would say that the prospect development team helped with Donovan, and that was a good thing. And really, the thing I'm interested in as far as what our team is now with the absence of Donnie is who is that team leader? And I don't know if that's an answer that is to be defined right now. It may have to come during the season. But I think Donovan was like the focal leader. I mean, he looks like a Confederate general in the Civil War, and I think he behaved like that too, right? Just rallying the troops. So I'll just be interested. Is that Burley Biscuits? Is that somebody else? I think there's a leadership void in the clubhouse now, and that'll just be an interesting part of the season, I think.
Can I give a last kind of stranger flip to this? Is that the casual fans, most of them had no idea. The ones that I'm around had no idea who he kind of was, really. Like, so wasn't a beloved member of, but the people who are on the fringe, casual, like who knew who he was, were like, gosh, what is this like they felt like just like a void, I guess, of just like the Cardinals. What are they gonna do? Like, who even are they? Like they had. And I had to talk about some of the young players, and they're like, yeah, I've heard of that person. Yeah, I've heard of them. But they just kind of felt depressed, I guess, about like the Cardinal season, or like not excited at all. Like, gosh, we got rid of Donovan too. Geez, what are we doing? Are we selling everything? So that is my thought about this is, yes, his trade potential was the highest now. I agree with all those. But like also on the flip side of that coin is, well, we're gonna have to do something, or we're gonna be kind of like a joke, honestly. Not to be super negative, but like that's how people feel, and I don't want to detract from that opinion. It's a valid opinion about this team. It was just like, sure. Oh boy. So some people got to step up, I guess, is what I'm saying here. So let's move into what you guys feel like is the thoughts on this return. Was it worth it? So was the fringe casual person's depression worth what we got in return? Is it going to be like, that's why I kind of said, but we got Jesus as a pitcher. Is that good enough? So gentlemen, Scott, we'll go with you again. Your thoughts on the return. Did we feel like that the only all-star that we had, did we get enough out of it? Was this a win for the Cardinals, or meh? How do you feel about it?
Well, I had the opportunity to talk about the trade the night that it happened over on Cardinals My Time, which is now merged with Redbird Rundown Spotify. So if you see that That's me. So make sure you're tuning in and listen to that as well. And we talked about it. I had a Tampa Bay Rays contributor, Roman Rodriguez, on as well, who was a delight, along with Redbird Farmhands and Aiden Gray of Redbirds on the Arch. And they talked about it more from the minor league side. Redbird Farmhands played with Ty Pete, but when he was 12 and 13 years old, so it was a fun little connection to make there. But Sanche was, of course, the headliner. The two competitive round, the competitive B or balanced round B picks were an awesome get. In addition to the two prospects that you get, Andy, you've been clamoring for somebody that doesn't throw the ball but can hit the ball in these trade returns.
Yes.
And I'm glad they got that. I still would have liked to see potentially maybe instead of two lower tiered left-handed outfielders with some power potential to potentially turn that into one right-handed upper level minor league hitter. But from what we hear is that the potential is there for both Pete and Ledbetter to be like an electric kind of charismatic person to be excited about, kind of Victor Scott-ish with less of that speed that we've heard about and a little bit more of the hit. So I think overall, for what I expected the Donovan return to be, I think people expecting 2 top 100 prospects plus stuff was a little bit crazy from the beginning. I think that this is a pretty good return when you also factor in those 2 picks.
Yeah, Jonathan, anything?
Yeah, A plus on this. I mean, he felt like he needed to wait to get what he wanted, and by golly, he did. I mean, 3 players and 2 picks for Donovan. I mean, I don't want to tarnish Donnie after we just, kind of worshipped him for a second for what he did for us and how cool he was, but that's a lot of picks for what Donnie is. Donnie's a 3-WAR player, sub 3-WAR player, very important cog, glue guy to a team. This is why it made sense for Chaim to hang on to him, because I think from the Mariners' perspective, this is what solidifies your team. I know we've said that a few times. So you overpaid to try to get that last piece. And Chaim worked a masterclass here. I cannot believe he got 5 assets for him. Truly, I cannot believe that. Like, I thought we'd get something similar to what Willie, drew. But my gosh, the 2 picks, and I think Chaim even said that himself, that really threw it over the top. That, we have picks 13, 32, 50, 68, 72, and 86. So you want to talk about, a shot of adrenaline into the arm of the system. That is how you do it. Not even talking about Mr. Durangelo, a.k.a. Jesus, I guess, Ty Pete, Colton Ledbetter. And I think of the 3 of them, just quickly, I think Ty Pete is more interesting to me than all of them. I know Saint Cha, Andy? Is it Saint Cha?
Saint Cha, that's how he pronounced it.
Obviously, ambidextrous, that's so cool. He's so young. He's posted and done a really good job in the minor leagues, but Ty Pete hit almost 20 home runs in high A. He hit 19 home runs in high A. Stole 25 bases with a K percentage of 30.6, which is Nolan Gorman territory. I mean, just like, whoa, that's astronomical.
Yeah.
But remember, guys, Josh Baez at 21 years old in high A had a K percentage of 37% and hit 10 home runs. So Ty Pete is 1 year younger, hit 9 more home runs, and has less of a strikeout rate. If we can just Control-Z, Control-V what we did with Josh Baez on top of Ty Pete, this is another really exciting outfielder. I understand he's lefty, but we don't have anything in the outfield. We have nothing. Who in our outfield right now is like worth dying for? Nobody's really done it yet. So Pete just really kind of grabbed my attention with that, because I thought, oh man, if we can do what we did with Josh Baez, we got a dude out there.
Yeah, I agree. It's very exciting. So I was in class, and a couple of my classes know that we do this, and I think some of them listen, so shouts to them. But they were like, okay, Mr. Cardinals podcaster, tell us about the return. And so, I started talking about this ambidextrous pitcher, and I just didn't know that anybody would know who this was. And one of the kids in my class was like, what? We got Senja! We got Senja! He just started screaming, and I was like, what is that? So it turns out he's on the baseball team, and he follows all this stuff, and he just was hype as all get out.
Wow.
I don't think we're going to see the ambidextrous thing in the majors, although if there is any wish I could have for this season, it would be for us to resurrect that. And just the novelty of having a guy that can throw from both sides would be, it's just like, it's kind of like Ohtani, but the pitcher, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
there's just something to it
Right.
that's so interesting. I think his jerseys will be flying off the shelf if he makes it in both ways. Jonathan, you're right. I think Ty Pete is a huge get. I think that athleticism is off the charts. I think that power, Andy, that's what you want. It is from the left side of the plate, but that power potential is there. And I just keep thinking to myself, let alone with Ledbetter too, I just keep thinking to myself, if this prospect development team is really going to be top tier, it not just are we adding bullets to the chamber, but we're like filing the bullets down and they're going to work better as they leave the gun. I am incredibly excited about not just this, although I am obviously sad to see Donnie go, but just the whole corpus of work of the offseason of Bloom. I mean, we were just ranked the second best farm system in baseball by Baseball America. And so it just like builds on itself, let alone all these picks we're talking about. I feel like we're turning into the OKC Thunder of baseball. And like, who knows? Who knows who we draft? Who knows how long this chain of Brendan Donovan reverberates all the way through our system? Because we may not even hold on to these guys. We may trade some of them down the road. I think the whole thing, just the whole offseason, thank God for Chaim Bloom. He did it again.
Yeah, I would say that, yes, thank God that he realized that. It was almost like he read my mind. Like, he's like, okay, like, I hear you. We want some power position players. I'm going to sneak in one more pitcher, but hold on. He's going to pitch from both sides. It's kind of like the Travis Hunter situation, kind of a little bit where he playing both sides of the ball, or like an Ohtani. But it doesn't really excite me that like these guys have the same K, like they high whiff. So like, I'm like, do I want to watch another Jordan Walker and Nolan Gorman like saga? Not really. But here's why I take a positive spin on this is at some point, one of these guys is going to like click. Right, we're just gonna keep rolling the dice like Yahtzee until it's just like, yep, there's finally what we wanted. I got a full house, and it happens more with the more of them that we have. So okay, great, Jordan Walker, Nolan Gorman, perhaps they work out, perhaps they don't know. Hey, we have these guys coming up. Let's see, roll. Nope. Okay, let's try the next one. I feel like that's kind of what the dynamic's going to be for the Cardinals for just a little bit until we land on someone. We're like, oh yes, we did it, boys.
Or Andy, you pocket these dudes together, you group them together, and you say, look at all this potential we have. Give us some awesome pitcher. Give us some awesome outfielder. That's what I think this does as well. Is you get so much more excess, you can part with some of these dudes.
And Jonathan, let's go ahead and dive into what does this do to the 2026 Cardinals lineup, the team. What is this? We have completely unjammed the logs, right? Is that what we're saying here? Like from what we talked about last year in the podcast, it's gone, right?
There's no more forest. There's no trees. There's nothing. There's nothing left. No, I watched Chaim's presser when he talked about this, and I just have to say, the dude is eloquent as all get out. He really is. And I know that Mo was as well, but Mo had that Mo speak. You know, when you could ask him a question and he would like divert it to milk prices at Aldi and how that's good and just whatever, right? Chaim is just so, I was really impressed by his speaking ability, and he did say something interesting where he said, you know, somebody asked him, does that mean JJ is going to be on the team out of spring training? And he said, we don't want to give any player anything. You know, we want him to prove it and see how he plays. And I thought, Chaim, buddy, you ain't gotta lie.
Do it. Stop. Just stop.
I thought he was gonna like usher JJ, like he was at his house and he was like come out of the door and be like here's the second baseman. Yes. That's what I think, Andy. I think that this basically solidifies JJ being on the team and playing second base. I have absolutely no idea what else they would do. I know he's just not putting as much pressure on him because JJ's not even on the 40-man roster right now. He's still a non-roster invitee, which I think is hilarious. But I don't see who else would take second base reps. I think Gorman's going to play third, and I think JJ's going to play second.
Well, Matt, they filled that you'd like to add?
Yeah. Are we sure? Well, go ahead, Scott.
I was going to say they filled that 40-man spot with the signing of Brian Ramos, a former top prospect for the White Sox flame out. So that's interesting. But also Zibs DC has been updated, I believe, since our episode for JJ Weatherholt. They now have him playing in 123 games, which I believe was in the 80s when we checked in. But they only jumped his home run potential to 10, and I believe it was at like 8 or something before that. So they project him to be that near everyday player that we're going to expect. But I want to also point out one thing and then do a little bit of a caution at the same time. I texted you guys and I sent something out on Twitter that showed the projected starting lineup is now all expected to be homegrown talent. Ivan Herrera was an international free agent signee. And then you got Weatherholt, you got Victor Scott, you got Wynn, you got Pedro Pajes is who they also threw into there. But then you got Gorm. I mean, literally everybody, Burley, is drafted and developed by the organization. And what we forget is that those guys were drafted and developed by Mo. So to point out to that earlier point is that Mo actually created this starting lineup, but yes, it was Chaim Bloom's fingerprints that put it into action by getting rid of those other assets. So then what I also wanted to point out is I have an article that's at recording coming out tomorrow, but has been out today for Viva Alberto's, where I talked about what the lineup could be like sans Donovan, and everybody's kind of talked about that, and whether Holt's been ushered into that starting spot. I pointed out that we've seen this rushed with Walker and with Victor Scott, and I don't anticipate Weatherholt being that rushing prospect. He's shown he's at least had some time at AAA and compared to Victor Scott. It's just, I think he's going to be starting. I do think he deserves to be starting, but it's just maybe there's no need to be that super rushing through spring training. Let him get his feet wet, have Thomas Saggese, Thomas the Italian, fill in for, a couple weeks. I don't think we need to worry about the service time manipulation because he has the potential to be rookie of the year anyway. So it's going to be an interesting. I think he deserves to be up there, but at the same time, want to caution those high expectations that we all have for what he's going to be, and remember that he's still going to be a rookie if and when he makes that debut.
Yeah, Matt, that's kind of what I was going to ask you is like, do you see a possibility where it's actually the interior lineup or the interior infield is Thomas Saggese at either second or third and Nolan Gorman at the other? Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think that. That's in fact what I was going to say is, look, if I think we're just kind of passing over Saggese here, and I'm not sure that we should. I'm not sure that he's an MLB superstar, but I do think he needs to get a run. He had quite a successful minor league career leading up, including winning an MVP in the Texas League. And so if they want to do the thing where, Weatherholt needs to work on a position or he needs to, work on hitting curveballs or something, and they want to manipulate that service time a bit, I definitely could see Saggese moving into that second base to start the season. And let me say this other thing. If Gorman flops this year, I think Saggese is the next one in line. So I just think we need to give him a run. I think he needs the opportunity to succeed or fail on his own terms and not always get buried by the next thing. Although I think I'm much more excited about Weatherholt than I am Saggese. But I would prefer to see Weatherholt in the opening day lineup, as the rest of you do too. I want him to be hitting leadoff. But I could see Andy. I could see your Thomas the Italian. I could see the train chugging there at second base.
That's Thomas World Baseball Classic, the Italian for you.
That's right.
For Italy. Thank you.
Thomas, home country hosting the Olympics World Baseball Classic.
No kidding.
So are we all in agreement that Chaim did exactly like what every couch GM would have done to the Cardinals roster in terms of what needed to happen? What happened? Do we want to change anything? Is there anything else out there, gentlemen, that you're like, Chaim, can we look at this real quick? Or is everyone satiated as a couch GM? Matt, go ahead.
Well, yeah, let me jump in here because, Andy, what you were talking about earlier, the casual fans are like, oh my gosh, what are the Cardinals going to do? I was literally thinking, not to sound like Emperor Palpatine here, because I love democracy, but I was thinking, thank God the Cardinals are not a democracy, because I think we would just like name recognize ourselves into the middle treadmill of the MLB for the rest of time. And thank goodness, once again, that Chaim traded for Jesus, right? Like there is somebody there to make the difficult decisions that may not be popular in this moment. And if you look around on Facebook or Twitter, there are plenty of Cardinals fans that are pretty upset about the state of the team at the moment. But again, in this case, democracy is not the best form of government. I think it's better that we've got somebody that can make the decisions that are not popular. Yeah, Andy, not only am I satiated, I'm full, I'm bursting. I feel great about what's happened in this offseason for the Cardinals.
Yeah, anyone want to add anything else?
A+. Are you kidding me? I mean, I just think I'll piggyback off what Matt said. We've said this in a prior podcast, but the fact that Chaim was able to convince this ownership group to fully commit to this rebuild and throw a bunch of money out the door to get 9 prospects and 2 picks by trading Donnie, Sonny, Willie, and Arenado. I mean, we never thought that this would be possible because we thought that that ownership handcuffed Mo, and I think that probably did happen. But he's got full buy-in, and I don't know if that's just them upset with attendance or if Chaim came in and was just like a snake oil salesman and just like, hey, this is what we're going to do. And they were just like, we love this guy. Take all of our money and do what you want. It's fantastic. This is the best thing. So you Andy, you said, does every, armchair or couch GM satisfied? No, I don't think so, but this couch is feeling really good.
All right. Well, the only thing that I would like to add to the Chaim stuff is that I'm just thankful that Nolan Arenado got a home and we didn't have to drop him off like Harry at the beginning of the first movie. Scott, that's all I'd like to say is that we didn't have to have Hagrid come drop him off. I'm just really happy about that for Nolan.
Oh, man.
Who would be the Cardinals' Hagrid? Is this Redbird at this point? Like, what's going on?
He flies in.
Oh, man.
I'm trying to think who's big. No, it's probably Redbird.
Yeah. Well, so this year, the FanDuel experiment basically failed, right, gentlemen? Is that kind of what we're transitioning off the Donovan stuff and onto how you're going to be able to watch the Cardinals this year? The FanDuel stuff kind of flopped. The parent company's got some issues, bankruptcy, etc. So the ML will produce and distribute Cardinals games. So fans will be able to watch these games this year on, of course, your traditional cable satellite providers, as well as through just Cardinals.tv, which is like the MLB direct-to-consumer streaming platform. So hopefully that's a little bit more streamlined. It's through the MLB app or MLB.com. And the nice thing is there's no restrictions, no blackout restrictions for the people living in, and there's a whole bunch of counties. If you want to go online and look at, see if you're in that county, there's a nice, easy to look out map to show that. Pricing starts at $20 a month, $19.99, and $100 for the entire year. Gentlemen, I think that's a net win. I think, I know that we're getting lumped into the MLB distributing our stuff, but how do we feel about that? Any thoughts about that? Anyone hop in?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. Are you kidding me? If you live in that area, you don't have to buy dish or satellite or cable or whatever it is, the boomerisms of watching TV. You said streamline, Andy, and I wanted to go so bad because we're streaming Cardinal games now. So you literally walked right into that one. So I appreciated that. It's fantastic for everybody living there. Anybody outside of that zone, you still do the normal MLB TV type of thing, and we are just one step closer for people being able to watch their games from their team year round. I still think there's going to be Fox gets some games or ESPN gets a game. You know what I mean? You're going to have that. But the fact that you can sit there and watch every game and not have to have a bunch of other channels and stuff, $100 a year is a steal for 150 plus games every year.
Yeah, I think so too. And Andy, I have two thoughts and they're intertwined. You said that there'd be no restrictions. Well, the funny thing is with the FanDuel TV stuff, there are a lot of people with traditional carriers like DirecTV who just weren't able to watch the Cardinals at all last year. So I have friends that I work with that are huge Cardinals fans that essentially couldn't watch the team last year. So I think this is a massive net win for just the ability for viewers to tune in to the Cardinals. Where I think it's a loss is they did lose about $20 million worth of revenue. Now, I don't know if that matters specifically for this season because they've clearly brought the payroll way down. But I'm thinking in the future, this whole mess with the TV and who's going to provide is really going to be wrapped up in and part and parcel of the next contract negotiations. All of this stuff is so weird and messed up. The Dodgers are printing money with their TV network, and the Cardinals can barely find somebody to cover their stuff. So I think this is an opportunity for the Cardinals moving forward. You're out of all your contracts, it seems like to me. MLB is distributing it. Maybe the Cardinals can do their own thing. And the Cardinals franchise has always said this. This fan base has let them punch above their weight in terms of their market size. I think if they're able to control their own thing in the future, we could see a real revenue boost out of this, even if it's going to kind of be harmful for maybe the next year or two. So it's all weird and messed up, and the thing for the fan is you just want to be able to watch the games. I think in the future, this is probably a helpful thing for the franchise too.
Yeah, well, you talked about the payroll. So after Scooball went to the arbitration and they signed, I read somewhere where the Tigers rotation is $87 million, and that basically is what the Cardinals payroll is for this season.
Yep.
Homegrown young talent is cheap. That's part of what we're trying to do, I think.
Yeah.
Sorry, Scott. I didn't mean to derail and get onto MLB ceiling or floor talk again, debate. But did you have any thoughts about the broadcasting?
Yeah, I think as somebody who's in the Chicago area, so out of network anyway, I'm just still going to be purchasing MLB TV to be able to see all in-network, out-of-network games that I care to see. It's a step towards MLB TV actually being an all-encompassing MLB TV where, they actually get to carry every single game and just have that all on one platform, which I do hope to see in the future. Just, hey, if I'm buying MLB TV, I want to be able to watch every game. Um, I think it's interesting to see when being in Chicago area when the Cubs switched to Marquee to get their own TV network, how much money was involved with that. But I think it's possible that the possibility for your own TV networks might be falling by the wayside because you do need that massive financial support and the fan support. And right now is probably not that time. And if and when they go to that full MLB streaming platform, I think it'd be tougher to get out of that. So I think they're more towards that direction of that full MLB all-encompassing broadcast. But that takes me to what I kind of really wanted to get to is one of my concerns with what's going on in the media landscape as well. And I want to give it kind of a warning to MLB. As we have seen, whenever you see Cardinals national news coming in from Jeff Passan or whoever, it's always credit to Derek Gould, John Denton, Katie Woo, or Jeff Jones. If you've been following the Cardinals offseason, 2 of those 4 are gone, and those 2 were for national outlets, specifically for the Cardinals. So Katie Woo left on her own accord, I assume, to go to the Dodgers. Good for her. Very excited for her to do that. Well-deserved. John Denton, he was just at winter warm-up and then gets told a couple days ago, hey, by the way, MLB.com is laying off you plus however many other writers. My concern is that when I have a concern with national broadcast in general, when these people don't see your team every game, every day, they're not in the clubhouse, and they just have to fill stories to the national audience, that national audience isn't getting the full story. We get that from people like Gould, like Woo, like Denton, and things like that, and Jeff Jones. But now when we cut that in half, and that was the national outlets that MLB fans are getting, that actual insider information is going to be so lacking that I think that now the stories around the Cardinals are going to be so much drama and rumor filled where because the only way to get that insider information now is to pay for a St. Louis Post-Dispatch membership or to pay for a Belleville News Democrat membership. And with the rising cost of everything, nobody's doing that. They're going to take the MLB.com national news story. Even The Athletic not choosing to fill Katie Woo's role with the Cardinals writer right now is, we're just going to see those, J.J. Weatherholt's struggling for a week. Is it time to send him down? Where somebody like Gould might be reporting that, he has been working through these different swing changes and Brant Brown is working on this, or like they didn't like the matchups that week, so he sat 2 games in a row. Like that's stuff that we are going to severely miss out on. And the casual fans might end up being like, oh my gosh, the Cardinals are in disarray, where the ones like us that are tuned in and that the ones that tune in with us or actually check and read that information are going to get the full story. So my caution to MLB is with a franchise icon like the St. Louis Cardinals, even in a down season, there needs to be some type of that team specific coverage. And that goes for every team, especially, the Athletics. Nobody knows what's going on with them. They need team specific people that are in there, that are in the clubhouse, that are actually asking the manager these game to game questions. And this push towards an all encompassing national hub just is concerning because we're just going to see the typical Dodgers and Yankees news stories.
Yeah,
cue that resume music, Scott. Cue it up, baby.
Yeah, that is tough. That is tough because I do enjoy having the inside opinion about those things, and I love Gould and Jeff Jones. These guys have really great content, but I think to take that include it into another point is that all this money that's going into baseball, we are about to come into a reckoning time. Like it's very soon where we're going to be having some deep conversations, probably next offseason, about what the heck they're going to do to rectify this whole thing, from where's the money for local journalists at these teams to how in the world do you make it competitive between the Dodgers and the Cardinals. And they're starting to solve some of the streaming issue, which I'm not sure we ever thought was ever going to be fixed, right? I think we were all like, oh my gosh, this is 20 years behind, right? They're starting to come back in to reality with that. So I hope that, Scott, to carry on your point, the next step here is this labor contract and how some of the money starts to get redistributed, and it maybe makes a little more sense from that angle too.
Yeah. So February, if you live underneath a rock, is indeed Black History Month, right? So we're going to transition into Jonathan's story time. I'm excited.
Ooh.
None of us know what's going to be presented or who. So with you, listener, I will turn over to Jonathan and take us away.
I feel like I need to be on a stool with a children's book.
You do.
I'm
ready.
Just read it to you guys.
I'm sitting. I'm crisscross applesauce, baby.
All right, wonderful.
I don't know if my hips will do that, but yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, you'll get there.
Yeah, piriformis, you know how that is.
Yeah.
Okay, Andy, great job setting that up. It is Black History Month. I tried to go through and peruse Cardinals history and find a player to recognize this month who is not necessarily as famous as we might think, right? Someone who is maybe skirted under the radar even though they were really successful. So this first Cardinal, his name is Bill White. Now, if you guys know who this is, just forgive me because I did not really know who this was. If you look through his profile, his history and who he is, it's kind of insane that I don't know more about this guy, and that may be just on me. But for the rest of the listeners, he was born in 1934, which was, turns out, a long time ago in Florida. Okay, he was a first baseman on the Cardinals from 1959 to 1965. And I was going to ask you, Matt, you were not born then, right?
Barely missed the cut, yeah.
Yeah, so he was a first baseman from 59 to 65. So while on the Cardinals, he never hit below 283. He surpassed 304 times. He made the NL All-Star team 6 times. He won 6 Gold Gloves. He posted a 6-WAR season in 1963. I feel like I've said 6 about 9 times in a row, but he was just that good. He was third in MVP voting in 1964 when we won the World Series in 7 games against the Yankees. And I didn't realize that in that Yankee team, this was towards the end of his career, that was a Mickey Mantle team. If you look at that, the history behind that series, it's kind of nuts. But I mean, he was incredible for the Cardinals. And why is he overlooked? Why have I not really heard about him? Well, I think it's because he played on teams with Bob Gibson and Curt Flood and Lou Brock and Ken Boyer. And those guys are all amazing in their own right and Hall of Famers in their own right, minus, I think, Curt Flood. But I never would have thought Bill White. You know, when you hear the Cardinals in the 60s, you talk about Bob Gibson, you talk about how fast Lou Brock was. And it's like, Bill White was the first baseman posting a 6-WAR season. What are we talking? Like, I know they didn't have WAR back then, except for it was over in Europe, but they didn't have, like, they didn't have these advanced statistics to prove how good this guy was. But I mean, if you hear all those accolades, that we would be jumping for joy if that was our first baseman. So I was really impressed with that from an on-field perspective. Now, when you transition to civil rights, right? So we're talking late 50s, early 60s. He had a longer career than this. This was just one stop in his major league career. But I obviously, if I didn't know anything about his major league career, I did not know this, that Bill White was the first black play-by-play announcer in major league history. He started with the Yankees in 1971, and the origins of that come back to the Cardinals because Harry Carey used to be our broadcaster. Okay. Mm-hmm. And Bill White would always joke with Harry Carey that he's got the easiest job in the world, that all you got to do is just talk about what you're seeing. And Harry Carey, I think, kind of chided him into, well, if it's so easy, why don't you do it? And then he did it. So he went and he got his opportunity with the Yankees. So I thought that was really cool. He was also elected as the first black NL president in 1989. He was the first black executive to hold a position in sports like that. So again, that's crazy. I didn't know that. And also back then, like, they had leaders of the NL and the AL. There wasn't like a commissioner, or there was, but it was just different in how they did things. So when you read NL president, we don't have that today. There's just a commissioner. But that was really interesting that, there was a Cardinal who was so influential in Major League history from 2 things that are super important: play-by-play. That's all we hear. And then 2, like, making decisions on free agency or how the mechanisms of Major League Baseball work is pretty impressive. So the last story or something I wanted to bring up here about him that, again, is just extremely impressive is during the 1961 spring training, which was down in St. Petersburg, Florida, black players were not allowed to stay in the team hotel, which if you just take a step back for 2 seconds, it's crazy that these guys went through all of this. It's crazy that they couldn't stay in the same hotel. Like if you just think about today when you check into a Hilton, nobody thinks about these things, and it's so unbelievable that, 60, 70 years ago that this stuff was happening in this country. It's just insane to me. But so they weren't allowed to stay there, so they stayed with families that were close to the ballparks. So at that time, the Chamber of Commerce in St. Petersburg invited baseball players to a salute of baseball banquet, which, side note, had to have been terrible. It had to have been terrible.
For sure.
There's
no question.
No way anybody wanted to be at that.
Yeah.
But it was only for the white players. And so he had a press conference during spring training, and he said this pretty famous line. He said, "When will we be made to feel like humans? When are we going to feel like humans? Because we are baseball players. We are these guys that put on the cleats and the glove and we swing and we do everything else that these white players do. Why can't we go to this baseball banquet?" Well, that's what was really important about this whole thing with him, is that he was like a trailblazer in this civil rights movement and spoke out in a time that was really dangerous. In that time in history, it was not fun for people who looked like Bill White. And because of him speaking out on that, the next spring training, all the hotels in St. Petersburg opened their doors to black players. They didn't have to stay with families. And maybe like a lesser known terrible thing about this is they probably got invited to the banquets, which was not great because nobody wants to go to these banquets, I'm sure. But Bill White, just to wrap this up, and I'll get your guys' thoughts on this. Really impressive Cardinal. Didn't know, right? He wasn't inducted to the Cardinals Hall of Fame in 2020. That's on me for not knowing that. I just read that and was like, wow. So I guess maybe he is pretty well known. But for Jonathan, for me, I did not know who Bill White was enough. So doing this research was really fascinating to me, and it was heartening to see that he was really good on the field, but off the field, he was brave, he was intelligent, he cared about the movement that, ultimately changed the history of this country, and I think that's really cool. So I'll stop talking. What do you guys think about Bill White?
No notes. I had no idea who that was. That's a fantastic player in Cardinals history, so very well done, highlighting someone who is better than Brendan Donovan was in terms of WAR, right?
That's true.
So no notes from me.
Yeah, what an impressive man, and just like you said, the social pressures of that era to be able to not just stand against those, but then to perform. I mean, sounds like to me that it was Paul Goldschmidt at first base with some actual leadership skills. You know what I mean? Like, what a great player, and then to be able to have that other dimension is what a man. Yeah.
Well, I was going to tie it back
Scott,
into what we talked about with Burley, where you said like he was on the other teams with X player. It's like, well, Burley could have that same way I talked about, where he's that guy where he has that 280, 25 homer, 100 RBI season that you forget about. So I that's kind of the first thought that I thought when you mentioned his just numbers and why he seems like that not as well known. And then Matt, like you just said, like that's just super important, especially today. Like we have to shed light on these things that it's crazy to think about that, like our families were alive while this thing was happening. Like this is how recent this stuff was. And that's just, again, just something that we need to be aware of just as just human beings.
Yeah. Well, good on you, Bill White. Checkered history in the past of this country, but the Cardinals have a nice bright spot here that he was a cool guy and did some great things. So, Andy?
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us, guys, and tuning into the Redbird Rundown, your go-to source for all things St. Louis Cardinals. Be sure to subscribe and review the show. It really helps us grow. Follow us on Twitter, Blue Skies, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube for the latest updates. Keep those rally caps on, and let's go Cards.
Bill White,
Jarangelo.
baller.
Jesus.